The purpose of this video is to demonstrate the use of web page templates when building websites with Point Dynamics CMS. We will focus on the basic web building blocks in Point Dynamics CMS and show you how to create a web page template. You'll see how easy it is to build web pages and promote design standards using Point Dynamics web page templates. When you design and build web pages in Point Dynamics CMS, you should think about it like an interior designer. As an interior designer of buildings, you receive some sort of drawing or blueprint of the building shell, showing the external walls, a description of the location, and maybe a social context for the project. You're responsible for creating an interior space with rooms that are functional, aesthetically pleasing, and fulfill the goals of the building project. Likewise, as the person responsible for building and maintaining a website, you want a site that is functional, with pages that are easy to use, pleasing to the eye, and fulfilling the right set of business requirements. You design your pages based on some design theme that will promote a consistent look and feel as you navigate the website. This is similar to the interior designer, who ultimately wants to achieve a proper flow from room to room, and wants all the rooms in a building to complement each other in the context of the building's architectural style. The web pages you've just seen are all based on the same web page template, promoting a consistent design theme and a highly productive work environment. So how do we create web page templates and use them to build our web pages? Every web page template is based on a site layout. In Point Dynamics CMS, think of the web pages that comprise your website as the rooms in a building. Each web page has an underlying site layout that defines the dimensions of the page and the different parts or sections that make up a page. Similarly, a room, for example a kitchen, might have different parts to it, like a food prep area, dining area, pantry, maybe a desk area. You're now looking at a site layout, one of the basic web building blocks in Point Dynamics CMS. This site layout shows you a basic web page structure. Each part or section of the site layout is referred to as a panel. You can see the different panels that comprise the site layout. For example, there's a panel header, there's a panel menu, there's a panel sidebar, there's some center panels. You can actually change this terminology if you prefer, but for our purposes here, we'll use the word panel. Think of each panel as a small project. You decide what each panel will look like, the type of content that will be placed in the panel, and what functions can be performed within a panel, much like the interior designer who's considering the different areas of a kitchen. The site layout is your blueprint for a web page. For each site layout, you control how many panels there are, how the panels are arranged on the web page, what content will be published in each of the panels, and who can actually change the content in a panel. You'll notice there are some aspects of style associated with this layout. For example, there's a gradient background, and there's some colored bars and borders being displayed. These are actually being controlled through a cascading style sheet, commonly referred to as CSS or style sheet. Style sheets are one of our basic web building blocks that work in combination with site layouts and web page templates. You're looking at the actual style sheet that controls the format of the site layout we've been showing you in this video. Style sheets are an industry standard, and they're completely integrated with Point Dynamics CMS. You can specify style sheets for a portal, web page template, a panel, and portal components in our product, giving you total web page formatting flexibility. For those interested in the technical details, a site layout is actually generated by a .NET Web User Control, or ASCX file. You are looking at the .NET Web User Control that was used to generate the site layout used in the video. A number of standard site layouts are delivered with Point Dynamics CMS. However, you can easily add your own based on your specific business requirements. There are no limitations or restrictions placed upon your design of a site layout. Now that we have our site layout, we can build our web page template. You're currently looking at the Point Dynamics administrative menu. To create a web page template, we'll go to the Page option, Add New Page, and Template. which will bring up a properties page for adding a web page template. And the first thing we need to do is give it a name. So we'll call it Demo Web Page Template. And then we'll need to specify the site layout that will be used to generate the web page template. So we'll click on the Browse button, which will bring up a list of site layouts available to us. We'll select our site layout and then click on the Save button. And we're now looking at our new web page template. At first glance, the template doesn't look very appealing, and that's because we didn't specify a style sheet during the create process. But we can easily add a style sheet by going back up to the Page option, clicking on Properties, which brings up the properties associated with our web page template, and then go down to the Style Sheets property, click on the Add button, which will bring up a list of all the style sheets available to us. And then we'll select our style sheet and then click on the Save button. And now we can see the styles reflected in the web page template.